And if ye suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye. And be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you. Never before in the history of the Church has misinformation been given such easy access to our members. Through the Internet, false and misleading information gains equal ground with faithful teachings, causing an equally unprecedented need for well-researched answers to the claims of the Church's critics. The Foundation for Apologetic Information and Research was formed to meet this increasing need, known today as FAIR. It boasts the largest repository of faithful answers to critical questions raised by the critics of the Church.
In the mid-90s, I stumbled onto the AOL message boards, and it was a time when AOL was pretty much the biggest game in town, and the Internet was really coming into full swing, and the first thing that I ran into were the chat rooms. And it was a pretty stunning experience, because when you went into the religion chat rooms, there were anti-Mormons literally just laying in wait. And it was very easy for the anti-Mormons because they had ministries and websites, and they could go to the websites and cut and paste and just throw it back at you no matter what you said. We created a group, and we began to think, why can't we just stockpile information like they are? We could create a website, and we could put all of the answers to all of these accusations and malicious things that they're saying onto the website, and then anybody that stumbles onto the internet like we did will be able to just go to this repository of information. That was the beginning of FAIR.
We started with a small group. We were posting our information on the internet, and as we posted information, we decided we were very intrigued with what a lot of the people at the what's now called the Maxwell Institute were writing, and we decided to have a conference. And we put the conference on in the Santa Cruz Mountains. We thought it'd be a cool place to have it in California. Most of our members were from outside of Utah at that time. And we invited several of the people from, at that time, Farms, was what it was called, to come and speak. And we invited some other scholars to come. And we put on a conference.
Since 1998, FAIR has gathered together some of the brightest, most faithful scholars in the Church to help address questions and issues raised by critics. Since those humble beginnings in the mountains of Santa Cruz, California, faithful members have gathered for an annual conference to present research and findings in support of the faith and practices of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now held each year in the Salt Lake Valley on the first Thursday and Friday of August, hundreds attend the FAIR conference to learn and to be uplifted.
I've been deeply impressed by the quality of the speakers that have been presenting at the FAIR conferences over the years. They've had BYU professors, people from the church education system, scholars from the Neal A. Maxwell Institute for Religious Scholarship at BYU, and independent scholars as well. And these people have tackled some of the most intractable challenges facing the church. Issues such as polygamy, blacks in the priesthood, DNA in the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Abraham. And every year, Daniel Peterson has kind of anchored the conference, and he's been terrific. And we've also had scholars such as Richard Bushman and Terrell Givens and Wendy Ulrich and many others. So it's been an impressive performance that these scholars have put on at these conferences.
I was an agnostic all my life. It was okay for me to not know if there was a God or not. And then 10 years ago, our 10-year-old daughter was killed instantly. And all of a sudden, it wasn't okay for me to know if there was a God or not. I wanted to know, was there a God, was there not God? So I started reading about Christianity in general, and later about Mormonism, specifically because my husband had been raised Mormon and had been inactive for 31 years, but he became activated after that event. And during that time, as I was finding out about Mormonism, I found having been agnostic all my life, I found kind of the claims of Mormonism kind of incredible. As I was investigating Mormonism and Christianity in general, I came across FAIR, and it was important to me because I found that intelligent, reasonable people believed in Mormonism and expressed their faith in it on the FAIR website. And that was helpful for me to see that, and to see that people had reasons for their faith. And then as I was investigating the church further, I had friends of mine express concern for me for my interest in Mormonism. And one person, the person who cut my hair, went so far as handing me an anti-Mormon tract by Ed Decker that it was like a one-page trifold tract that had very sensational claims against Mormonism on it. And she said her mother had been raised Mormon and had told her that all of these claims were true. And I read them. It was just alarming to see what was on those. And I turned to FAIR, that I'd found FAIR on the internet, and I turned to FAIR to find answers to those claims. And I was really relieved to find that there was an answer to all of those claims, a researched answer that explained all of those claims. And what was important was, there was a one-sentence sensational claim, but it took more than a sentence to explain that. But they were there. The answers were there.
We currently have over 3,000 articles on just about any topic under the sun. Our volunteers include scholars and laymen who find the best, most current answers to a given topic, and then they present it in an easy-to-understand format. We lay out the argument with a bit of history on where it came from. We analyze the best information we have on the subject, then provide a faithful conclusion. In short, we try to give the best answers available, complete with references and further reading.
The FAIR Wiki is a great collaboration tool. I joined FAIR after a member of my family began supporting critical claims against the church by quoting Wikipedia articles. Rather than fight a constant battle to edit the LDS-related Wikipedia articles, I chose instead to edit the FAIR Wiki. The Wiki allows us to post responses immediately to new critical information as it appears on the internet. Some of the most popular FAIR Wiki articles are those that respond to current events related to the church. Fortunately, we use the same collaborative software tools used by Wikipedia to work across continents and languages to create and maintain a vast repository of faithful information. Now in 4 languages and growing, the FAIR Wiki is a powerful tool in helping us defend the church.
Since its inception, FAIR has worked to publish faithful information to help members in crisis of their faith due to the claims of anti-Mormons.
One of the first books we did was called Restoring the Ancient Church by Barry Bickmore. In this book, he compared the thoughts of the early Christian fathers and their writings with that of contemporary Mormonism, contemporary LDS thought. We've also done a pamphlet on anti-Mormonism by Wayne Arnett. And most recently, we've done a book called Shaken Faith Syndrome by Mike Ash, which has been very helpful.
Yeah, my book, Shaken Faith Syndrome, I wrote it specifically to address the entire process that takes place when faith is rattled by anti-Mormon claims. I spend time in my book addressing the anti-Mormon tactics, walking you through some of the things that they do to try to hurt testimony, and I try to help the reader to look objectively at the information that sometimes can be disturbing, especially if you don't understand them or know what's going on. I also spend quite a bit of time addressing some of the most common anti-Mormon arguments, but also help you to know where to look to get more information. It's basically a how-to book for maintaining your faith in the face of opposition.
FAIR is an all-volunteer, non-profit organization dedicated to defending the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Operating on a marginal budget, it maintains the greatest scholarly bookstore available to members today. It produces original research in defense of the Church and seeks to promote faithful information for the benefit of members.
Since the beginning of film, anti-Mormons have pretty much had the monopoly on the multimedia market. Ever since the early 1900s, anti-Mormon videos have been made. And it wasn't until recently FAIR decided to actually counter that by answering anti-Mormon claims in video. We've started a YouTube site as well, and we have hundreds of videos on YouTube for the world to see, which answer critical claims made by critics of the Church, as well as providing evidence. And we've had great success with this. We've had a couple people actually come into the Church through these videos. We also have produced some DVDs. We produced one on DNA in the Book of Mormon, which explains the entire argument and answers the questions which critics raised. We also have a DVD which is a direct rebuttal to an anti-Mormon DVD, something that has never really been done before in the past. As we use DVDs, as we use video, we can reach a much wider audience. We can put all this information in easily digestible form, so people don't have to go through a scholarly article in order to find answers to their questions. They can get all the questions answered by scholars in a very short period of time. As an example of what FAIR has done, in our video rebuttal to an anti-Mormon video, there was a certain man who came across this anti-Mormon video as an investigator, and he bought into it all. He believed everything that was in this anti-Mormon video, and he gave up investigating the Church. As he began to look around on YouTube a little bit more, he found our video rebuttal. As he began to watch that, he realized that the anti-Mormons were not being accurate, they were not being honest in their accusations, and it actually restored the faith that he had lost from watching this critical video, and had since been baptized into the Church.
Elder Ballard recently asked members of the Church to become more involved online, to provide those good, positive LDS voices. And that's great, but the difficulty we see sometimes is sometimes we have uninformed voices going on trying to defend the Church. My hope is people will use FAIR as a resource, and before they go out and try to defend the Church, that they actually research before they speak. Sometimes it causes more harm than good when they just spout off what they think they remember from primary, which they may not remember correctly even.
May I ask you to join the conversation by participating on the internet, particularly the new media, to share the gospel and explain in simple, clear terms the message of the restoration.
We don't get paid for this. The pay we get is the emails we get from people, the thank you emails. We have people who write us and say, you know, I was struggling, I had difficulties with my testimony, or my brother or sister-in-law or whomever gave me this article and I'd never heard it before, and I thought maybe the Church lied to me, or I thought maybe I didn't know any better because I hadn't done research before, and I emailed you and I got an answer that really helped me understand the situation, understand what it was all about. And so that's the pay we get. The pay we get, all our volunteers get, is the thank you emails that we get from people who say they're now comfortable with their testimonies again and comfortable in church.
We don't argue. We don't even address our critics directly. We're simply a source of faithful answers to critical questions. While we're not endorsed by the church, we strive to function in a way that would bring no shame on the church and that builds faith in the hearts of our members. We invite you to join us in our efforts. If you believe that what we're doing is important, we invite you to volunteer with your time and talents. You can volunteer at our conferences, contribute to our research, help us translate our articles into various languages, or any of a host of other activities. If you have the ability and can contribute financially, we promise to treat your contribution as a sacred stewardship and use great care in how we use your generous sacrifice. We hope you'll help us in our efforts.